Today we're going to look at the games I played in the Friday action quads. Many people asked me why I lost in round 3. Well, I mean, you can't really expect Isabel to be pre-Darshan. So I had a pretty good tournament, I think. Okay, round 1, I played my student, Matt Larson, and we had just had a lesson earlier that day, so we played in round 1. Okay, so as many of you know in this audience, but not in that audience, the Friday action quads have added a lot of prizes to the prizes. So we're playing, and then I didn't win, but I tried, and I failed miserably. The lesson is never try. Okay, it was a Sicilian. Okay, now I heard a long speech about Sicilians today that I'm sure is apropos for this class. Oh, wait a minute, no it's not. I guess I would be an eggplant if I said that. Okay, so we'll go beyond the true romance speech about Sicilian, and we'll talk about my favorite Sicilian pizza. Oh, that tastes good. Yeah, okay, now there's a grandmaster in the United States who is quite good, and his name is Gadakomsky. And of all the top players in the world, the only person to play like I did is Gadakomsky. So you got to give him some credit. In this position, 99.9% of the games, white plays knight takes d4, the so-called open Sicilian, and I played queen takes d4, which is, I guess another grandmaster likes it, Grandmaster Ken West. Okay. And that's Grandmaster Ken West. Okay. So the idea behind queen takes, well, for me the idea is it got a theory, but the actual idea is that white castles queenside very quickly. Now, I did a lot of preparation for Mark Esserman in this line, and that's one of the few games I played. And I also gave a lecture a few months ago where I beat Tommy Ulrich in the Chicago Open. And all of those games, including this one, black played knight to c6. Oh, wait a minute, Tommy didn't play knight to c6. Never mind. Knight c6 is the most common move. After knight c6, I'm going to go back in a second. If you move your queen away, because your queen's attacked, then you probably shouldn't have taken with the queen, because you keep moving your queen, like some people we know. And if I don't move my queen, then he'll take my queen. Then, man, even Isabel will be mad. So I played bishop to b5. This is a very common tactic when you move your queen into the middle, because the knight's going to attack your queen and you pin the knight. Notice, to Robert Hess's dismay, 3 years I've been doing that joke, knight takes queen is illegal. Okay? Well, when Robert Hess was lecturing here 3 years ago, whenever he made an illegal move, it made a really loud noise. He's like, can I turn that off? So whenever I make an illegal move, I make fun of Robert Hess. Okay. Well, he plays for a team called the Dreadnoughts, so I should make fun of him, right? Okay, it's true. Okay, so, you know, those Yaleys, they hardly beat us in football half the time. Now, going back, some players play a6, and now it's obvious why they do that. That stops bishop b5, so then knight c6 will gain a tempo. Okay. So knight c6, and then unpin, take, knight c3, knight f6 here. And now everybody plays e6 because this bishop can't move, and they want to move their bishop, right? Okay, and I have games in that line. My opponent played h6, attacking my bishop, but I saw it. Now let's vote. When somebody plays h6, should you take their knight and double their pawns, or just go back? Who says take the knight? Okay, who says go back? Okay, so if you did not double your opponent's pawns, then I would play bishop h4, because then I'm still pinning the knight or something. But since I'm going to double the pawns anyway, then h6 doesn't really do anything. This is sort of a wasted move. In fact, I would argue the pawn's better on h7, because after gf, the bishop doesn't have the h6 square. Okay, and now I castle, which is what I said I was going to do. And I have all my pieces out, and I've castled, and black has one piece out, and has not castled, and cannot castle. And if black does castle, I'll probably mate him, because where's he going to castle? Okay, maybe the safest place would be over here, but yeah, I mean, black can't really castle there. Okay, So my opponent, I thought, would play e6. And then that defends all the squares. And actually, I could show this game in the next lecture. Okay, I have a lecture coming up after this one, and this game is apropos for that lecture also. It's a rich tapestry. So a6, which I thought was slow, and b5, which I thought was slow. Now my opponent, who is also my student, I have had a lesson with him since this game, and he says he was better later because his computer says so. So he's right. Okay, now I wanted to play knight e5, but I noticed that was risky. And then I wanted to play knight g5, and notice that was risky. And the one square between e5 and g5 is f5. But even though I'm a grandmaster, I still can't do that. Robert Hess, maybe. So I played what move, Isabel? How do I get my cavalier to f5? Can I take my queen and then go there? So where can it go? Yes, Isabel.
H4.
Yes, and I always call it Isabel because she has the same first name I do. Knight h4. Okay, and some people say that move stinks. Pause for effect. Because it's nh4. Bam! Okay. Somebody explain that joke to Isabel, please. Do you know chemistry yet? Not yet? Well, in a few years you'll start laughing.
I'm in third grade.
I know. That's good. That's a good straight man over there. Perfect timing. You'll get paid extra tonight. Okay, so now I'm going to play knight f5, or as Greek Grandmaster Vasilios Kotronius would say, knife f5. He likes knight f5. Okay, so rook g8, because the rook's better on this open line than on h8, and knight f5. So if I was doing an outpost lecture, for example, which I'm doing in about 45 minutes, I would say those knights have good outposts. Now, this is something very interesting. This reminds me of blackjack. When you go to a casino and you play blackjack, often you have two choices, or as my dad would say, one choice and one alternative. You can hit or you can stay. And there's also other choices, but let's not get too complicated here. Now, a lot of people will stay when they should hit, and the reason is when they hit, sometimes they lose, and they don't want to lose. Now, that's a very suspicious mathematical way to figure the situation out. In fact, that is a mathematical way. So if you have two choices and one's bad, it doesn't mean you do the other one. It means you look at the other one and you compare them and do the better one. So my opponent made a bad move, and when I asked him why he didn't make the better move, he said that looked risky. And I said, it is risky, and your move is risky, but it doesn't win a pawn. My move is risky, and it wins a pawn. So the obvious move is rook takes g2. Then black is up a pawn. And then I thought I would play rook g1, for example, and if we traded rooks, which he probably shouldn't do, then I would play rook g8 later, and probably white's better. That was a joke, because white's a lot better. Okay, but probably he could play something like rook g6 and try to be solid. Now, his computer, of course, agreed with me. His computer said rook takes g2, and black's fine. But black would be a pawn up if he took on g2, but he was afraid to do that, so he played rook g6. Now his game's not very good, and he's not a pawn up. So, okay, so why did he play rook g6? I assume he wants to play e6, forking my knights. But if he played it last move, then white has a slight advantage. Yeah, then, not so good for black. Okay, so rook g6 sort of, okay. So then I played h4, and my idea was if he played e6, I would play h5. And his rook is worth more than my knight, and if his rook moves away, this is still good. So he played h5, I believe. Yes. And I played f3. Now, my plan was to play g4. That's why I played f3. And my other plan after e6 was to play knight to b4. And I'm attacking his bishop, and I'm attacking his d6 pawn. And his king's really well placed. Okay, so he played bishop takes d5, which I thought was bad, and his computer said he should have played that every move. Like the last move, this move, the move before. Okay, and I took. And I was like, wow, that's a great knight, and that's a bad bishop. Okay, so, man, I can't make that joke. Even thinking about that joke, I should get a job here and get fired. Okay, so rook c8 was played, putting the rook on the open line. And now I decided 2 queens was better than 1, but it was a tough decision. Okay, so I decided this pawn could queen, except this pawn's in the way. So I played g4, and he said thank you, and I called the director, and I said he's talking during the game. Okay. h5, h6, h7. Oh, and he blocked it. No. But I like the way he played rook g8 to g6 to g8 to h8. He showed me. Then he castled later, and I resigned. No. Okay. Now he's threatening pawn takes knight, but I saw it. Queen e4, preventing pawn takes knight, and threatening queen takes e6 check. He developed a piece. Does he have a lot of development? Developed a, king f7. He developed a piece. Now the computer says I should play some crazy move, but I played knight d4, attacking his e6 pawn. He saw it, and I took. Now material is equal, but I have a passed pawn on the 7th rank, and his king is ridiculous. So he's completely losing here. And I could win easier by sacking all my pieces, but I didn't do that. Okay, now you'll notice I'm threatening rook g6 check with advantage. Okay, and this is shocking to everyone, especially me. He played the move I expected, but nobody would expect this move. I don't know why I expected it. What did black play to stop rook to g6 check? King e5, because you saw the game. Very good.
I did not see the game.
Right. Now rook g6 is risky because my knight's hanging. So I defended my knight, and he played the move I expected, king to d5. He's trying to run away. And then he's still losing probably, because I have a pass pawn on the 7th rank. Okay, so now I played rook to g6, threatening his e6 pawn. And he blundered, although computer says he's like minus a million, so now he's minus 2 million. He played rook to e8. And now I have a winning tactic, which Grandmaster Ken West will now show. Remember, it's a tactic, so it's like some capture. You, Grandmaster Ken West twin. Close. If you knew the names of the squares, you'd show your twin.
Rook to g7. No, never mind. That's wrong.
Rook to g7?
That's totally wrong.
Man, I know who the evil twin is. Okay, rook takes e6. Now, rook takes e6 is risky because queen takes f5 check. See how it's check? And if rook e5, queen takes queen is good for white. And if king c4, which is the other legal move, knight takes e6, white is ahead material and threatening mate everywhere. Like mate? And possibly this is mate, but I'm not sure. Well, it looks like it's mate. And he's down a lot of material. So he didn't do that. So after rook takes e6, any good player would resign, but he played, incorrect.
Why doesn't knight take c6 work?
Everything works. Yeah. But my move's much better. And I'm not even kidding. Because the goal of chess, which Julian doesn't know yet, because intermediate, is checkmate the king. You'll notice the king can't go back. But if you play knight takes e6, then the king just runs away, and black wins. Okay, so rook takes e6. His king can't move here, because Robert has said so. Okay, so bishop g7, defending his rook. Check. And now, I think knight c6 is the computer move, with the idea knight a5 and rook h4. But I didn't see knight c6. I wanted to play b3 mate, except b3's not mate, even though Ken West thought it was, because he likes b3. Okay, then c3 pawn is hanging. So I played king c2, threatening b3 mate. Grandmaster Ken West, it's an easy question. White's threatening mate.
Yes.
How do you stop it? Because you don't want to get mated.
Well, you can resign.
No, he stopped it without resigning. See, your indolence is inefficacious. Yeah. Right, Isabel?
Huh?
See? All you got to do is stop mate in 1 and you're gold. b3 mate, how do you stop it? Who wants to help? There you go, help.
Push the black pawn on b5.
Well, then I'm gonna play b3 mate. Yeah, still mate. D5 is one way, not too good, and the way he played bishop E5. The idea is you're giving your king shelter a la Rolling Stones, okay, which also didn't work out well for them. Now, I played the simple tactic, rook takes E5, taking a bishop, threatening B3 mate, defending my queen. He resigned. If he takes my queen with check, I can't play mate because I'm in check. But I can take threatening mate, and I'm a piece up. So he resigned here. And his time ran out, and I declared mate, and martial law was declared, and so forth. Okay, terrible. Okay, and that game I actually won. Now my next game was very suspicious. That's the way I like it. Okay, so the next game I played Tyler Hughes. As many of you know, he's a PhD student at WashU. For those of you new in town, Washington University. Okay. Also, it's not 6440, it's 40. Yeah, people here have issues. Yeah. And also, they say Creve Coeur. What else do they do wrong? Let's see. Well, everything, basically. Okay. So, also St. Louis. Come on. Right? Right? You know what I'm talking about. Okay. So, Tyler Hughes played in the U.S. Championship in this very building before I worked here. The first one they had in 2009. But I wasn't here, so I didn't do nothing. Now, Tyler's not playing competitively anymore, but since we upped the prizes in the Friday Action Quad, then play competitively. Okay, so I'm black. I played my usual blocked Benoni, which I gave a lecture on about 2, 3, 4 months ago, plus tax. I gave a lecture on like this position. And my opponent played G3, and we had this boring, world of Niels Bohr. Okay, and yeah. I castled. Okay, H4, so he's not kidding around because it's an action tournament. Okay, H4 actually I think is a good move, somehow. So there's no theory, and the center is blocked, so we get to play chess very early, and normally I get a big time advantage because I make all these moves really quickly. Maybe my game's not good, but I have more time. And probably that's more important in a game 25 tournament, although as I've been informed, it's game 26. So my opponent wants to play H5. Now I can show you many games where my opponent plays H5 and I play knight H8. But I didn't feel like it this game, so I played knight H5. He played queen to C2, which is a good move because he's going to do some stuff to me here, and he's going to probably castle queenside. In fact, he did all that stuff. And I played bishop D7, and he played knight G5. Now, if I take a pawn, which is pretty greedy, rook takes knight would normally win a knight, except his queen would take my rook. I hate when that happens. So there's a little tactic called removing the guard. And what is guarding the knight? The queen. So what move can white make to attack the queen and make the queen move away from the knight? There's two good answers, but one answer is slightly better than the other, slightly. Yeah, bishop C1. Knight E4 is probably good too. But bishop C1 is annoying. Okay, and I don't want to get checkmated on H7. Okay, so I played queen to C8. And here was my idea. I thought he would play bishop to F3 attacking my knight. So I played queen C8. And my idea was if he plays bishop F3, I'll play bishop G4. And my other idea was to take on B4, and then my queen is putting pressure on C4. After queen C8, my opponent thought a long time. Isabel, do you know what it's called when the queen and bishop are lined up on the same diagonal?
I don't know.
That's correct. Well, she didn't know. That's right. Grandmaster.
Battery.
A battery. Very good. Okay, and he knew. Amazing. That's why he's a grandmaster. Okay, so my opponent played B5. Now I took en passant. That's another class, actually, not this one. Okay, so now I can't really do that. Now, I don't like my rook here, and I'm going to tell you why. At some point, I would like to play F5, because that looks good. But if I ever play a move like that, let's play it now. He would play knight E6. Notice my pawn's not here anymore. Aw. And then if I take the knight on the outpost, then when he takes back, my rook is hanging. And his knight has another outpost. So if I ever want to play F5, then I probably shouldn't have my rook here, because this bishop will eventually take my rook. So I played a6 in case he castles queenside, and he took, and I took, and now my rook's not there. And he played bishop f3 attacking my knight, but I saw it. And I played bishop g4, as I explained earlier. He played bishop e4, which was quite annoying. So he has a lot of pressure on h7. I played f5, as I explained earlier. And he went back. Now he can play f3, trapping my bishop, or knight e6. Do you know why he didn't play either one of those moves, Ken West? Correct. It's not his turn. Otherwise, he would have played both. I played f4, stopping everything. And he played knight e4, because I gave him the e4 square for his knight. And we traded. And now, did I resign? No. Now, I didn't want my king on this open diagonal. So I played king h8. I played bishop f5. And then I played king h8. I almost remember the game. And he castled, which is a little iffy in my opinion. Rook to a4, and queen a6, attacking the c4 pawn. Hooray! And I think he played knight d2. Yeah. And I played b5. And is this where he played the move I didn't see? Or that was next move? It was next move. Yeah, e4. Yes? Yes.
Why couldn't you play knight d?
Knight where?
Knight d6, is it? Take a pawn.
For who, white or black?
After white moves his knight back,
Okay.
black can take the pawn.
On g3?
Yeah.
What about that guy?
Missing up.
Yeah.
Well, then it leaves the pawn open, and you can check, easily check and get into his stuff. Well, no, the pawn.
Well, you're giving a lot of pieces away,
Yeah.
which I did later. I gave more pieces away later. And everybody's laughing when I won. What's wrong with you guys? I won. No, really, everybody's laughing like, how'd you win? You gave all your pieces away. Like, I won. Leave me alone. It's a blitz game. Okay, so at b5, e4, b4, and I missed the most obvious move for white, which is queen f3, and oh no, he took. Queen f3, and I lose all my pieces. Now I lose this, and I lose this. If I lose that, I get mated. Yeah, I didn't see queen f3. So, man, now I was thinking I was going to lose, although not really. But I should lose. I sacrificed all my pieces, as you recommend. Now, he probably should play knight b1, but okay, he took. Probably also good. And then I played rook to c8, sacrificing my king side so I could get some checkmating attack. Although, if I put this on a computer engine, it's going to laugh at me, but I didn't do that. He played queen b3, and I saved my bishop. And I played bishop a4, missing that in this position he could play queen takes pawn. I didn't see queen takes pawn. Because if his queen moves somewhere else, I could probably take this. Okay, so now I'm down a lot of material, and my rook is hanging. So it's time to give up more material. Knight takes g3. He took my rook. Knight e2 check. See, I got a lot of checks for my 2 or 3 rooks. A lot of checks. See, look, I checked him. Yay. Okay, I'm down a lot of material here. I'm down 2 rooks. Okay, but I checked him a lot. Okay, queen check. Knight f4, threatening queen e2 checkmate. Yay, I have a threat. Okay, now, why did I win this game? Even though I'm down 2 rooks? Because my opponent had seconds and I had like 4 minutes. So seconds wasn't enough. And he sacrificed for my knight. And now it should be a draw, I think. I could keep checking him, check, 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 check. But instead of perpetual check, he hung mate in 1. Yay! Also, he tried not to hang mate in 1. He like made it, he's like, no, that's no good. Yeah, I'll go there. He's like, okay. So he made the move that hung mate in 1, then he put it back because his hand was still on it. And I was like, oh, well, he saw that. He did anyway. So played king e4. Black checkmates in 1 move. Who can find it other than Julian? And if you're a chess student, you should always mate your opponent in 1, because then you win. Yeah.
Bishop to c.
Mate. Yeah. So I won. Yeah. If he plays king g4, then I don't know. I'd have to Houdini it, but probably it's a draw. I could probably just keep checking him. You? Queen g2, take on a1. Well, now I'm down a piece. So, and this piece is hanging? Well, but I mean, you're down a piece. Well, you're down a piece. Bishop e6 check? Well, no, I would have won. I'm not saying I wouldn't have won, but I should lose. Yeah. No, I'm saying with correct play, I should draw, but since he has seconds, I'll probably suspiciously play on. Yeah. And yeah, these tricks don't work in my last round, Isabel. How could you lose the last round like that? Okay, see? Totally forgot. All right, now the last round was against Priyadarshana, who's our hero. In fact, he's probably playing upstairs right now, or maybe later. When do they start? 8? Yeah. Okay. They started? Yeah. Oh, so he's playing right now, unless he's not playing. Okay. Now, what's funny about this is after I lost this game, and I hung my head in shame, and I walked home, and like people at the bars were like laughing at me and pointing. Then I noticed that chess.com put my latest lecture up, and it was on this opening. And I was like, ah! But I won that game in 1300. Okay, so my opponent played the Queen's Gambit accepted. This is actually quite funny. I had a student over my house a few days ago, and I said, what's this opening called? I thought he'd say like the Grunfeld or the Ruy Lopez, some normal answer. And he said, this is the Queen's Gambit accepted. And I was like, wow, it didn't even happen yet, and he's right. Like this is just the Queen's Gambit, but he knew the guy took, I guess. I don't know. I was like, well, okay. Okay, so in this position here, white has many moves. Bishop d3, a4, d takes c5, queen e2. I played bishop d3, which I played in 1989 and put a lecture on chess.com recently. So this is still my game from chess.com lecture and my game last week. Now, well, this is sort of boring, but we'll do a little tactics because tactics are fun for intermediate players. Let's say black wins a pawn. Ooh, right, Isabel? And then we take, and then Nikki is going to show the winning move for white, winning a queen. White wins a queen. Oh, it's a queen.
Bishop c5 check.
Bishop c5 check.
I mean, bishop.
I knew what you meant. Bishop b5 check, and you attack the queen. Right. So did Priyadarshana do that, and I won $86? There's an alternate universe where that happened. Okay? It's a great universe. Okay? Anyway, he didn't do that. Okay. Now, if it was his move, he still couldn't do it because bishop takes h7 check, and I still take his queen. So he's never threatening that pawn. Okay. Now, when he played b6, which he did, right? What did I think he was going to do next move? That's what I thought. But he didn't do that. He played another idea, which we see in the Smith-Morra Gambit. And I wrote a book on that from black's point of view, so I should know this idea. Rook a7. And the idea is to play rook d7 and then take my d-pawn at some point. And that's what happened. Now, there's a funny draw. Now, Priyadarshana's an international master. If he was a grandmaster, we would have had a grandmaster draw, but he's not a grandmaster. He would have played knight takes d4, and then I would play knight e5 attacking his rook, and then we would have drawn. That would have been awesome. Then we would have shared first place. Okay, but he played bishop b7, queen f4, and usually this is good for white to get an attack. All my pieces are attacking his king. But if you make 2 blunders in a row, then you don't do so well. Okay, and that's what I did. And I got to this position, and probably the best move is bishop to e4, probably. But I sacrificed a pawn because I was overconfident. d5, blocking 2 of his pieces. He took. Now his bishop isn't crushing me, and his rook isn't crushing me. Although I am down a pawn. Okay, now I made the losing move. And if you're a chess student and you want to avoid losing, you should write this down. Don't make the losing move. Okay, terrible. And I've lectured about this kind of blunder many times, but I still make it. Okay, now I played the aggressive move g4, attacking the knight. And I thought he had 3 moves: knight g7, knight f6, or bishop takes bishop. After knight f6, I would sacrifice on e7, and then I would capture this guy for free. And after knight g7, I figure I would checkmate him somehow. You know, like queen h6, and then I would trade bishops on e7 and play knight g5. Okay, and then bishop takes bishop I thought was his best move. Instead, he won the game immediately, although the game took another 50 moves. Raise your hand if you have a question. Okay, this isn't Soviet Russia. Or wait a minute. All right, maybe it is. So here's the problem. g4 weakens my knight because it was defended and now it's not. Also, if my knight disappeared, which I can do. Ha! Didn't see that. Hey, didn't see that coming. If the knight disappears, oh, there it is, then he can take my bishop for free. So I undefended my knight, and I need my knight there, so he attacked my knight. I didn't see that. Okay? And then right after I moved, and he had the hand movement like he was going to crush me, he had that movement, I was like, ah. The hand movement where it's going to crush me. And he played what move? Ken West. Attacking the knight. That was the hint. You can do it. He's like, you can't attack the knight. Impossible. Knight to d4. Yeah. Unfortunate. Now, he's threatening this with advantage. And if my knight moves away, my bishop on g5 is hanging. So I'm losing. Yeah, it's tough. So I took, he took. I'm lucky my queen's not trapped. And black is a pawn up with a better position. And we got to some position like this. And then I'm down a pawn, and my opponent has two bishops. If you remember the first game of the lecture, and you don't, but if you did, you'll remember I had two knights against two bishops. And I won that game. Now, what opening do I play with black where you often get two knights against two bishops? Chigorin, right. And which grandmaster, who's one of the top 20 players in the world, is the only one who doesn't dislike knights over bishops? He lives in St. Louis. Who? Nakamura. He thinks knights are great. Other grandmasters like two bishops. For example, in the US Championship last year, 2012, there was the game Onishuk Nakamura. And in that game, it was two knights against two bishops. And then Onishuk's like, I got two bishops. Right? So not only does he have two bishops, but he has an extra pawn. Also, my king's a little funny. And this game went on and on and on and on. I was trying to equalize, but I never did. And then I had 5 seconds left, and he had a minute and a half. And I said, well, there's no stalemates here, so I resigned, because I was down like 7 pieces. But okay, I lost that game basically because I played this stupid move g4. Terrible. And then he got all the money, and I got 86th, because 86 was first. Yeah. Terrible, right? You agree. So if you're here in the audience, or if you're there, if you come to the chess club in the month of October, which is now, there's a lot of money added to the Friday Action quads. There's an extra $50 per quad. Extra. Yeah, see? And if you pay a $10 entry fee, first prize in your quad is $86. Reasonable for a quad. And there's a random raffle for no reason before the last round for $100. Like, here's $100. And I didn't win that. That's what I was going for. So I didn't win that. That was unfortunate. So I played in the quads, which I never played in, and now you know why. Because I got beat. Okay, terrible. And Preet Arshan plays in the quads a lot, and he beats everybody. And he plays in the US Chess League, and he beats everybody. And then I give lectures. Okay? But I can show you games from 1935 where I beat everybody. Man, I was good then. Right? No, not terrible. I was terrible then. No. And to finish the lecture, I'll tell you something funny about 1963, because that would make sense. In 1989, I played Judith Polgar. Ooh. And she beat me. And when the game ended, she said, excuse me while I whip this out. And she took out all these papers. And they were all my games. Because computers in 89 were iffy, but she printed out stuff. And she was showing me my games. And she said, I don't understand this game. And it was the game Fischer Finegold 1963. She was like, well, you were born in 69. And I said, I was really good in 63. And I said, well, that's my dad. And she said, oh, okay. She's like, I couldn't understand. Yeah. And then In 1980, no, they don't know, 6? Probably. In 1986 or so, I played a guy, and he beat me, of course. He was like 300 points low rated. Then he's like, I played you 25 years ago. And I said, I'm 23. Like, how'd you do that? I said, you probably played my dad. He's like, your dad? Okay, I don't know. And my dad's like, yeah, I played that guy. So, yeah, my dad and my brother and myself, we're all over 2,200 or were.